Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Ram Nami Maha Mahotsava ki jai. So welcome everybody. We're going to have an hour's class on Ram Nami. This is about the lessons from the Ramayan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 10, text number 3. Ashyanu Charitam Rajan Rishibhish Tattvadarshibhihi Shrutam Hi Vanitam Buri Ayasita Pater Muhu Ashyanu Charitam Rajan Rishibhish Tattvadarshibhihi Shrutam Hi Vanitam Buri Vayasita Pater Muhu. Asya, of him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra, and his brothers, Anucharitam, transcendental activities, Rajan, O King Maharaj Parikshit, Rishibhihi, the great sages or saintly persons, Tattvadarshibhihi, high persons who know the absolute truth, Shrutam, have all been heard, ye indeed, Varanitam, as they have been so nicely described, Puri, many, Tvaya, by you, Sita Patahe, of Lord Ramachandra, the husband of Mother Sita, Muhu, more than often. Translation. O King, Parikshit, the transcendental activities of Lord Ramachandra have been described by great saintly persons who have seen the truth. Because you have heard again and again about Lord Ramachandra, the husband of Mother Sita, I shall describe these activities only in brief. Please listen. The poet. Modern Rakshasas posing as educationally advanced merely because they have doctorates have tried to prove that Lord Ramachandra is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead but an ordinary person. But those who are learned and spiritually advanced will never accept such notions. They will accept the descriptions of Lord Ramachandra and his activities only as presented by Tattva-darshis, those who know the absolute truth. In Bhagavad Gita 4.34, the Supreme Personality of Godhead advises, Tadvidi pranipartena, praniparshena, seva, upadekshyanti te jnanam, jnaninas tattva-darshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching the spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Unless one is tattva-darshi, in complete knowledge of the absolute truth, one cannot describe the activities of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, although there are many so-called Ramayans or histories of Lord Ramachandra's activities, some of them are not actually authoritative. Sometimes Lord Ramachandra's activities are described in terms of one's own imagination, speculations, or material sentiments. But the characteristics of Lord Ramachandra should not be handled as something imaginary. While describing the history of Lord Ramachandra, Shukadeva Goswami told Maharaj Parikshit, you have already heard about the activities of Lord Ramachandra. Apparently, therefore, 5,000 years ago, there was many Ramayans, or histories of Lord Ramachandra's activities, and there are many still. But we must select only those books written by Tattva-darshis, Jnaninas Tattva-darshinaha, Bhagavad Gita 4.34, not the books of so-called scholars who claim knowledge only on the basis of doctorate. This is a warning by Shukadeva Goswami. Rishibhish Tattva-darshibihi. Although the Ramayan posed by Valmiki is a huge literature, the same activities are summarized here by Shukadeva Goswami in a few verses. Umayantamirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Muditam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namaya Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunya Vahari Astatya Deshatari. Okay, welcome everybody. So this report is laying the foundation for hearing, which is our most important process in devotional service. The man is the position of a person can be understood by his association. And the most important association is the hearing. And we'll hear about that later, how by hearing our minds can be changed. And so therefore it's important that we hear from somebody who's not been listening to all the load of nonsense that this material world has to give and all the different opinions. But we hear from somebody who's heard the opinion of Tattva-darshi. Tattva-darshi means one who is fixed in the absolute truth. And especially the Tattva-darshi who's understood the highest understanding of the absolute truth, and that is Bhagavan. There's Brahmati, Paramatmati, Bhagavan iti shabdite. These are all truths, but they're relative to the absolute truth. These are all absolute truths, but they're eternal, but they're different aspects of the absolute truth, which the chief is the personality of Godhead. In this case, Lord Ramachandra. We can imagine so many things, even in devotional service. we can read things which are not there. Because due to a contaminated heart, it may not be true. So we always checking with authority. We're reading the literatures and checking with those who are more spiritually adept than us. And in this way, by this process, we're not misled. Because, we'll always find, we follow the mind, ultimately, we'll find the thing that satisfies the mind. And in a conditioned state, that'll be something material. It's not easy to make the spiritual decisions even when we hear them, but this is a safe way. So it's just a little bit of a preamble into this, how we properly hear and get the proper understanding of something, especially transcendental knowledge. So, Lord Ravan. Ravan, he was, by modern standards, he was far superior to any of the leaders now. He was educated in the Vedas. He could control his senses when he needed to for some higher purpose. He got his specific power by performing very, very severe austerities. Him and his brother, Kumbhakarna, they went to the forest. They were advised to go to the forest to actually perform tapasya. And they performed extreme tapasya. They were stood in one place for hundreds of celestial years. And he says that every year, I don't know what type of year this was, but it must have been another type of year. Every year, he was 10-headed, he would cut one of his heads off. And he was actually praying to Lord Rama, the leader of the universe, chief deity in the universe. And the next year he would be performing the tapasya, then he cut another head off. And 9 years went by and he had one head left and he was going to cut that off. And then Lord Rama appeared before him and said, "No, I'm satisfied by your tapasya. Please ask me for a benediction." And it was similar to Hiranyakashipu's benediction. He asked for that he wouldn't be killed by any of the races throughout the universe. He went through them all. First of all, he asked for immortality. And Rama admitted, he said, "I can't give you immortality. I'm not immortal either. So ask me for something else." So he asked for the benediction that he wouldn't be killed by the different living entities in the universe. And he went through all the universe, through the demigods, the demons, the Gandharvas, all these powerful living entities. And then he came down to the human species and the monkeys. And he said, "I'm not going to degrade myself by asking for a benediction to be by being killed by a human being or a monkey." Of course, Ravan's a Rakshasa, so they're many times bigger than a human being and many more times powerful. So, he didn't consider being killed by a human being. It's like they're so much more powerful. It's hardly, you can hardly understand. Just like, being going through the living entities that you don't want to be killed by, and then you come to an ant and you say, "I don't want to, say that I won't be killed by an ant. It was below his dignity." But actually we can see now that the smallest living entity is actually causing the biggest difficulty in the human race. So we shouldn't underestimate the power of Lord Krishna's creation. Everything has its particular place and everything has its particular opulence, particular power. And sometimes that power is shown when we misappropriate the the energy of the Supreme Lord. You know, it's a Vasyamidam Sarvam, Yakin Chat, Yagatyam, Dena Chakchena Bunjita, Nagridha, Kasyasvidjanam. That, you know, everything is owned and controlled by the Supreme Lord, and it has its purpose. And so Upanishads advise that we use it in an appropriate way, and we don't misuse things or take more than what we need. Everybody has their quota. And when we try to go beyond that quota, that's when the problems arise. So Ravan was a typical candidate for doing that. He was a practitioner, actually, not a candidate. He misappropriated so many things. He was caught. He even defeated Kuvera, the treasurer of heaven, and Kuvera gave him a space, not a spaceship, or I suppose you would call it. It was like a city. It had all opulences, and you could he didn't have to have a steering wheel like we have in the car. He used to just think of going in a certain direction, and he called it the pushpaka. It would go wherever he wanted, and he was traversing through the universe, and all the Rakshasas were also with him. And, you know, these Rakshasas, they're man-eaters. Some of them had tigers' heads. Some of them had mules' heads. They were horrible-looking creatures. And he was just looking for someone to fight. And then he came across a forest, and he saw something in the forest unusual. It was a woman alone. And so he came down with his airplane. And when he came there, he saw this was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen in his life. And he could see the contours of her body through her deer skin. And she was sat, you know, meditating, half open eyes, long eyelashes. And he became overpowered with lust. And so then she opened her eyes and he saw him, and she greeted him in a proper manner, like you would do any guest. And she said that my name is Vedavati. I'm a consort of, or I'm a devotee of Lord Vishnu. And when Ravan heard that, he derided Lord Vishnu. And Vedavati said, "You evil person." He said, so that at that point, Ravan advanced towards her, and she used a mystic power which stopped him coming for some time. And then he got all hold of her hair, and so he raised his hand. She raised her hand, and with a mystic power, she cut between his hand and her hair. She cut her hair, and Ravan fell back. And she issued a curse, said, because you inappropriately approached me in this way and defiled a chaste woman, he says, I will immolate this body, which means, you know, set fire to it. And in my next birth, I will be born from the earth as to a great pious person. And I will be the ruination of both yourself and all your dynasty. So this is the power of a chaste woman. She can cause such havoc, not havoc, but retribution to anybody who defiles that chastity. Even nowadays, say if somebody defiles a chaste woman, the duration of his life is immediately curtailed, or curtailed for a lesser period than it would have been. And then I'm telling a few instances of when Ravan was looking for a fight, so that we can understand one particular point, and I'll explain that point at the end. But then he went on, he was completely astounded and disappointed, and so he got back in his airship and he went further. And then he came across one strange being who was very like a dwarf, very strong. And I'll put this hood up, sorry, but it's a bit cool in here. I'm just going to get my cheddar, I'll be 30 seconds. That's better. It's usually quite warm in here, but for some reason there's a draft. Okay, so then he saw this being and he called him Nandi. And he introduced himself and he had a pike, very powerful, but very strange looking, ghoulish almost. And so rather than questioning him, who are you? He said, I'm Nandi, I'm the associate of Lord Shiva. And so, you know, it was up, so Ravan, and this is his abode, this is Mount Kailash. And Ravan derided even Lord Shiva. And so Nandi became very angry. And he cursed another curse that because you've actually insulted my Lord, I will appear in a future birth with many powerful monkey warriors. And he was a monkey actually. And we will annihilate all your race. And so then Ravan dug his hands into the earth and tried to lift up the Kailash hill with his great power. And it shook the hill, and Parvati, the wife of Lord Shiva, was saying, what was that? She was astounded. She was shocked, and Shiva said, this is one fool called Ravan. And so don't worry, you won't be disturbed anymore. And at that point, Parvati cursed that because she's frightened the woman, he will be actually, the cause of his death will be a woman. So this is the third curse. Ravan's not doing so well, is he? And so Lord Shiva stood up and pushed his foot down, and he trapped Ravan's hand under the hill, and he was there for hundreds of years and he couldn't get out. And he was sort of praying to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva accepted his prayers after some time and appeared before him. And he gave him and so Ravan says, if you are actually pleased with me, just see the nature of an ungrateful demon. Straight away, as soon as Shiva appeared and told him, I'm satisfied with your prayers, he asked for a benediction. Selfish, greedy person. And Lord Shiva said, what's that? He said, I want your most powerful weapon. And so he gave him the Pushpa Ashra. And Lord Shiva was thinking that this will be the cause of your death in the future. And so Ravan went on, and they came to the Ayodhya. Ayodhya is the birthplace of Lord Ramachandra. And at that time there was one king called Anaranya. And, when Anaranya was challenged by Ravan, he fought very valiantly. He had mystic power, and they were defeating the Rakshasas like anything. But then, because the Rakshasas are more powerful, they started using the mystic powers. And eventually all the soldiers of Anaranya were killed, except Anaranya himself. And so Anaranya started to fight with Ravan. But of course, Ravan was more powerful, and eventually Anaranya was unconscious on the floor, almost ready for death. He was dying, actually. And Ravan, and so Anaranya, he had very great mystic power, so he used that mystic power to curse Ravan. And he said, I curse that in the future it will be an Ayodhya king who defeats you and annihilates your race. So anyway, this is 4 times that Ravan was, this is the nature of a demon, that, he says that a preacher, he will be a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and glorify and worship him. He will make friends with devotees. He will be merciful to the innocent, the general mass of people, and try to give them Krishna consciousness. But he will ignore the demons. And this is why, that, no matter how much you try to alter them, they actually just cannot take a good lesson. And this was Ravan, who was so proud of his power. But in Bhagavad Gita it says, so Krishna says, don't approach demoniac people in general. He's talking about people in general, as well as out and out demons like Ravan. He says, but it will cause the devotees trouble. He says, but the devotee is more kind than the Lord, even though it's so troublesome. He approaches unqualified people to try and give them Krishna consciousness out of his mercy. But if we understand somebody is not going to take it, and then we have to actually use our intelligence and not make things worse for that person by making him angry, by speaking about Vishnu. And this is what happened here. That Vedavati was speaking about Vishnu, and he immediately started to become, commit offences by blaspheming. So, Ravan couldn't be altered. And the devotee has to see that in certain circumstances, there's nothing we can do directly. So then he met Narada Muni. And Narada Muni says, if the only person who can fight you, because Ravan, Narada Muni was friendly to everybody. Ravan liked him. The devotee has no enemies. Suridam sarvadehinam. Ajatakshatravasam. And so he told him that you're too powerful a fighter. The only person that will give you a good fight is Yamaraj, the king of death. So then there's a whole story how Ravan went to the fight with Yamaraj. And then Yamaraj was going to kill him, but then he realized that there was a higher purpose, that he would be killed later, and a whole pastime would be unfolded. And so Yamaraj retreated, and Ravan thought he conquered death even. So he was building his pride up even more for a big fall, because this pastime had to take place. So sometimes Krishna does that with the demon. If they want to do, he doesn't interfere with independence. If they want to become arrogant and proud and, powerful rulers, misrulers actually, then they're just making things worse for themselves in the future. But it's the only way they can learn. So this is where we have our Lord Chaitanya's mercy is exceptional in that we have the holy name to distribute. We have prasadam to distribute. I saw on the internet one course of action is to go on not go out, but go on the balcony or leave the windows open and have kirtan, so everybody can hear it. So we can consider that. Maybe some lessons we can learn. This is one lesson anyway, that we should actually, for the devotee also, that we should, if we're getting warnings from different situations, and we see that warning recurring, even though we don't think it's actually applicable to us, if it keeps recurring, we should seriously consider it. We may be actually going down the wrong track, especially if that is coming from the devotees. Just like Ravan, he was getting repeated warnings. And then, so one story I'd like to, is, from the Ramayan, we get so many examples of good character. Sita was an ideal chaste wife. We should follow that example. And the house will be like Vaikuntha. Lakshman, Bharat, they were ideal brothers. They followed, the words of Lord Ramachandra to the T. Even Lord Ramachandra, he was renunciation personified, integrity personified. Even though he knew it, a wrong had been done to his father, he knew even before his father, as soon as his father asked, he said, so be it. He had no need to go to the forest. There was no reason. It was unjust. But he did the right thing. So sometimes devotees, we're in a situation where we may be right, but if we push that, then it may actually make things worse. So sometimes we have to be patient, and sometimes we have to give way in certain situations, and then let Krishna work in the situation, just like Lord Ramachandra did. It's the plan of the Lord sometimes. So that's the first instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, is not necessarily to react when we get someone towards activity or someone towards reaction, but learn to be introspective. And this is what to tolerate does. When we tolerate, we have time to think. We have time to understand the situation from all angles of vision, and especially from the vision of the Shastra and the devotees. And then we can act in an appropriate way. But one thing I would like is the pastime. There's another thing which is learned by the pastime of, another quality which is learned from the pastime of Vali and Sugriva. Vali and Sugriva, they were leaders of the monkey race. The monkey race that took birth on the earth by the will of Lord Vishnu, so that this pastime could be conducted. They were monkeys, but they were demigods in disguise. They were as powerful as demigods. Lord Ramachandra was the supreme personality of God, but he also appeared as a human being. So only these two classes of living entities could actually defeat Ravan. And so Vali was the elder brother of Sugriva. They were the king of the Varanas, or the monkey race. They were sons of Jambavan, or Riksharaj. And when Riksharaj left his body, then the eldest son, Vali, took over the throne. Riksharaj was their earthly father, but their heavenly father, they were also heavenly beings, because they were demigods. Vali was the son of Indra, and Sugriva was the son of Surya. And so Indra is the chief demigod, so Vali was a little more powerful than Sugriva. And they were like inseparable brothers. They used to support one another. They were perfect, just like Lakshman And Bharat and Shatrughna were ideal brothers. So Vali and Sugriva were also ideal brothers. And Sugriva used to serve Vali as an elder brother perfectly, very loyal. But and one day, Mayavi, one demon, came to the residence of Vali and Sugriva, and he was challenging Vali for a fight, which is usually the case with the demons. They're always wanting to cause trouble. Powerful demon. And so Vali, so Sugriva said to Vali, I will also accompany you. And it wasn't he wasn't going to actually double up on Mayavi. In other words, both Vali and Sugriva came to fight with him. He just wanted to make sure, he wanted to protect Vali. Because demons are, crooked, duplicitous. There might be some other demons around who would actually also outnumber Vali. So Sugriva went with him to protect, and they both came running out, two big, powerful fighters, Vali and Sugriva. They came running out of the palace, out of the castle, out of the city to approach Mayavi. And Mayavi, when he saw them both, he became fearful because he thought, he misunderstood the situation. And this is, the thing to learn from this story is when we judge without understanding a situation properly. And this was the first time is that Mayavi thought that both Vali and Sugriva had come to actually attack him together. And so he began to run away. So remember, judging without understanding. And so, eventually Vali and Sugriva chased him, and he came to a cave. And so he went into the cave, and inside the cave, it was like catacombs, many different tunnels within that cave. And so Vali stopped at the cave, and he didn't know what to do, whether to go in or stay out. But then he decided to go in and try and capture the demon and kill him, because he knew that unless he did that, the demon would eventually rise his head again. He'd come out of the cave and cause more problems. So Sugriva wanted to go with him, but Vali was adamant that no, you have to stay here, and if he comes out, you can capture him. If he evades me, you can capture him. And so reluctantly, Sugriva stayed at the entrance, and he was peering into the cave, and he couldn't see anything. And after some time, he heard this scream. It sounded like the scream of the demon. But it wasn't a war cry of Vali either, which is usually the case. And so he was perplexed what had actually happened. Was it Vali screaming, or was it the demon? And days went by, and there was, if Vali has conquered this demon, then he will come out of the cave, but he's not coming. So maybe Vali's being killed. And he didn't hear Vali shouting a roar of victory. And he kept pondering the situation. And he realized that he was using his logic. He was a devotee. He wasn't doing things whimsically. And he didn't know whether to go into the cave and see if Vali was okay, and then he may meet the demon. And he thought, if the demon's conquered Vali, killed Vali, then I won't be able to conquer the demon because I'm less powerful. And then there'll be nobody to protect the city from these demons. And so on this basis, he decided ultimately that after a long time that Vali must have been killed. And so with a saddened heart, he was actually heartbroken. He decided to go back to the city and tell the inhabitants. But then before he did, he saw this huge boulder. And with great effort, after a long time, he managed to actually put this boulder in front of the cave so that the demon couldn't come out. and caused problems. And then he went back and told the leaders of the city, and so they performed the funeral rites for Vali. And then they asked Sugriva to become the king. And, Sugriva, he reluctantly agreed. And going back to the cave again, Vali eventually did come to the entrance of the cave inside, and he saw that the cave was blocked by this big stone. And he became really furious because he judged without understanding the situation properly. Now there's two judgments here. Sugriva judged that Vali had been killed. He didn't understand properly. Now Vali is judging that, Sugriva has put the boulder across the entrance to the cave to stop him getting out, and that he's actually wanting to actually take over the kingdom. So he couldn't move the boulder. He was so fatigued from the fight with this demon after such a long time that he just rested there for a few days. And then when he got his strength back, he eventually, with great difficulty, moved this stone away. And he was thinking that, he was thinking all the time in great anger against Sugriva. And eventually he came into the palace with, red hot hides, and he saw Sugriva on the throne. And Sugriva's face lit up to see Vali. But Vali was so angry that he never noticed. And he just went up to Sugriva and threw him from the throne and started pounding him with his fists. And, Sugriva was completely surprised, and he couldn't understand what was happening. Because he didn't realize why Vali was thinking like that. And he was heartbroken with his brother, who he loved so much and who had such a good relationship, was actually being so violent with him. And so he managed to escape and he ran. But Vali, he was so angry that he wanted to kill Sugriva, so he hounded him throughout the whole kingdom of Kishkinda, the kingdom of the monkeys, the Ravannas. But eventually Sugriva, he came to one place where pampas grass was growing, and it was the hermitage of Matanga. And previously, Matanga had cursed that if Vali ever came to this area, he would immediately die. So Sugriva took refuge there. And the story goes that Vali once killed a demon called Dunduka. When he killed him, he threw the slain body for a long way, and part of the blood from that slain body dropped and desecrated the sacrifice that Matanga at that time was performing. So he cursed Ali that if he ever came to that part of the kingdom where he was residing, he would immediately die. So Sugriva was, feeling somewhat secure there, but he was always in fear that Vali's spies would come and kill him. And, Vali, he took Sugriva's wife as his own wife, and he was constantly harassing that, he treated him so badly. And so this was the situation for many, many years. And then one day, we fast forward many, many years to when Lord Ramachandra was banished to the forest, and he's coming through the forest, and he comes to the kingdom of Vali. But first of all, he meets Sugriva in the hermitage of Matanga. And Sugriva tells him the whole story. And so Lord Ramachandra, understanding that, Sugriva has been wronged by Vali, agrees that he will kill Vali and Sugriva should take the rightful place on the throne. And so this happened is that after one failed attempt, eventually Lord Ramachandra shot Vali through the heart with his arrow. And when Vali was dying, Lord Ramachandra came and he said, "Why did you do that? you've killed an innocent person with your arrow from behind a tree. It says this is not the conduct of a Kshatriya. And Vali said, for a person like you who've committed so many atrocities against your brother, this is a fate punishment. And then he started explaining to him the situation about what he'd done and whether he deserved that punishment or not. And when Vali understood the situation properly, he actually changed his mind. He thought, oh, I've committed so many atrocities against Sugriva, this is a proper punishment. And he was actually very, very sorry. And so at that point, Sugriva and his family came, and he apologized to Sugriva that he misunderstood the situation. And so he took the one necklace from around his neck, and this necklace had been given to him by Indra. And the power of that necklace meant that nobody could actually kill him. And that's why the arrow of Lord Ramachandra killed Vali immediately. And so instead of, naturally his father, just like Indra gave it to Vali, you would think that, Vali would want to give it to protect his son, Angada. But just to show that he was sorry, he gave that necklace to Sugriva. And then he asked that, please don't be taking a retribution on my wife and my son. You should protect them, it's not their fault. And you should rule the kingdom with power and fairness. And at that, Vali left his body because he'd given the necklace. As soon as he gave the necklace away, all the energy came from, all the life force went out of his body. And so you can see that what we learn from this situation is that we're always quick to judge by externals. Sugriva misjudged the situation, but he was not as wrong as Vali because he didn't have an opportunity to correct the situation. Vali misjudged Sugriva's action, but he had the opportunity to ask Sugriva and rectify the situation and understand the situation. He was so convinced about his conclusion. Sometimes we're like that. We just like say adamant about our conclusion without asking or understanding the situation properly. But it led to more and more violence against Sugriva, more and more aparadhs. And so we should understand the internal feelings of a person when they do something. We think the way we think. And so when we misjudge somebody, it's because we have those qualities. That we have that quality which we are actually imposing on the other person. So we should be careful not to judge. In the Christian scripts say, be careful not to judge or be judged. Be judged for your action. This is what happened. Vali was punished. And the internal reason for Sugriva's putting a stone there was completely the opposite of what Vali thought. Completely the opposite. So sometimes we'll see somebody doing something and we don't understand why they're doing that. So we should understand the situation properly before we judge. In this way, we save ourselves from becoming misled by our, own uncontrolled mind. And what happened is, in that situation, they were lifelong friends and brothers, they became lifelong enemies. And this happens in the material world. So 3 things here we should use. When we realize we're in the wrong, we should acknowledge it. We should own the situation. And try and acknowledge the situation first. And then we should apologize from our part. Some things are not so easy. Some things are complicated, but we can apologize for our part. misconduct. Then, the part of the other person is up to them. We cannot apologise to them, but at least we can apologise for ourselves. And then there should be we should perform some action, give some gift, or which shows that we're sorry. This is the process. First, acknowledge that there's some fault on our part, apologise sincerely, and then give some practical sign that we mean what we say. Sometimes it's a gift like that. So it's 5 to 9. We don't really have time for any other lessons, but I think if we learn one lesson nicely, because, devotional service is on a higher platform. If we serve Krishna, then all irregularities are eventually taken care of. But it doesn't mean that we can mistreat people. And even within that, we have to perform, there's also ethics, principles that we have to follow when we practice Krishna consciousness. Like just forgiving somebody is not necessarily a Krishna conscious act in one respect. It's an ethical thing to do if we're asking for forgiveness. Because this will help our devotional service. When we act on a proper platform, then it's easy to practice devotional service. If we don't act on a proper moral and ethical platform, it means we probably haven't understood devotional service. Prabhupada was once asked, how will you know who's a devotee? He said he will be a perfect gentleman. He'll not be an avaduta. We may think we're avadutas. No, we're perfect. We should be a perfect gentleman. And so that means we have all good qualities. What's that verse? I forget the verse. Check. All the good qualities of the higher living entities like the demigods and sages are found in the body of a pure devotee. Okay, thank you very much for listening. So today is Ram Navami. This is just one story out of the Ramayan. But the Ramayan is filled with so many stories which help people to function even if they're not a devotee on a moral and ethical platform. Lord Ramachandra, in his Ramayan, he shows the principle of integrity. Integrity is an important point, that we don't just externally act, but we act on what's within the heart. What we know to be the right way to act, we actually do. And this is the point here as well. What's within is what's shown. We're not showing one face to people in general, but feeling another thing. We act on it. And real integrity is devotional service. Purnamada purnamidam purnat purnam udachyate. Purnasya purnamadaya purnam eva vashishyate. Everything is perfect and complete in this material world. We don't have to change anything. This body is perfect and complete for self-realization. This world is perfect and complete for self-realization and for sustaining us. And so we should use this body in a perfect and complete way in order to achieve. And that's real integrity. What's real integrity? Real integrity is that Krishna, Vivera Swarupaya Krishna Aranichadas. I'm an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And my first duty, as far as integrity goes, is to actually serve him. So all my decisions that I make in life should be centered around this complete arrangement of the Lord. That will this actually bring me closer to Krishna, or will it take me farther away from Krishna? Anakulyasya samkalpa, those things which take me closer to Krishna. Patikulyasya varjanam, those things we avoid, take me away from Krishna. And we can have integrity. If we want to see Krishna as we may make a wrong decision unwittingly, but if our heart's in the right place, we're wanting to do the right thing, actually we should ask first. Rakshi Shostati Vishwasva, Krishna protects, is our protector. Gopshikte Valanam Tata, that is our maintainer and well-wisher. Atmanir Shapakarpanyir. And when we actually realize these points, how Krishna is taking complete, it makes us humble. We're not in control. So these are the items of surrender. Very good. I don't know whether anybody wants to ask any questions at this point. I'll just wait a couple of seconds to see if you do. I hope everybody's fit and well. Everybody's keeping the distance. Everybody's washing their hands. Okay, thank you very much. Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanand.